Welcome to my Notion Invoice Manager template. This template is designed to help you easily track and manage your invoices and clients. It can be used as it is or linked up with Pop Invoice to create PDF invoices, email clients, and automate reminders. Let's get started and explore the key features of the template. On the homepage here, we have the invoice database. This is where you'll find all the information you need to record and track your invoices. The main view displays all invoices ordered by their sent date. Each entry includes essential details like the invoice number, client, tax, total, and the status of the invoice. You'll also see the invoice date, due date, and the date it was paid. Plus, there's a property to track the last time a reminder email was sent. Additionally, there are several useful views. The unsent invoices view filters out invoices that haven't been sent yet. The calendar view shows invoices based on their due date, helping you easily track upcoming payments. And the overdue invoices view highlights unpaid invoices and shows how overdue they are, so you can prioritize your follow-ups. Next, we have the client overview section. This shows a list of your clients along with key financial information. You'll see the total amount invoiced, the total amount overdue, and how much has been paid. You can switch to the current clients view to filter the list to show clients you've invoiced within the past year, rather than the default one that shows all your clients ever. Or you can expand the section to view a full table of all clients and their details. At the top of the page, we have a button that shows the status of your invoices using charts. Please note this feature will only work for paid Notion users. The first chart breaks down the total amount overdue, categorizing invoices by how overdue they are. You can also view the detailed breakdown of individual overdue invoices using the details view. The second chart shows invoices due this week, which is great for managing your cash flow. And at the bottom, there are 3 additional charts. The first shows the total invoiced per client. The second shows the overdue amount by client. And the third visualizes your invoicing trends over time, broken down by month. Back on the home page, you'll find a button with detailed instructions on how to use this template. This includes video tutorials and guidance on personalizing the properties to suit your needs. The About Me section gives you more information about me and how to contact me if you need any assistance. And finally, this button takes you directly to Pop Invoice, and I'll detail how to link up your data with this app after this brief overview. Now let's make a new invoice. Simply click the New Invoice button and a record will be added to the invoice database. In here, first select the client that this invoice is for. For this example, I'll choose ABC Limited. If the client isn't listed, you can easily add a new client in the list here. Once the client is selected, the last invoice number property will show the last invoice created for that client. You can use this to easily generate the next invoice number. So now I know I have to use ABC 005 for this invoice. Next, if applicable, you can add the tax percentage. For this example, I'll add in 20%. I've added a button to set the reference for this record to the client's name and invoice number. You can customize this to suit your needs and check out the instructions section where I detail how to do this. Now let's move to the date section. The invoice date is defaulted to today, but you can change this if required. Then add the due date for payment. Next, scroll to the invoice items section at the bottom. This is where you list what you're invoicing for. Simply add the item, price, and quantity. For this example, I'll add logo design for $1,000 and quantity 1, and then training session for $50 each, and I'll add 5 quantities. Once you add your items, you can scroll up and see the tax is automatically calculated and added to the invoice total. Once your invoice is ready, you can track its status. After sending the invoice, simply set the status to sent, and once it's paid, you can mark it as paid. If you're using this with Pop Invoice, it automatically updates the status for you. Now you are set up to track invoices in Notion. If you want to generate PDF invoices, send them directly to clients, and even manage payment reminders, you can link this template to Pop Invoice. To get started, first sign up for Pop Invoice if you don't already have an account. Once you've signed up, Pop Invoice will automatically add a standard invoice template to your workspace. But to use this Notion Invoice Manager template, we need to reconfigure Pop Invoice to use this specific workspace. To do this, go to Pop Invoice and click on the Notion menu option on the left-hand side. Then click on the Databases button. Now click on Run Custom Setup. You'll be taken through a series of screens with detailed instructions on how to connect your Notion workspace to Pop Invoice. Click Next to proceed to the Select the Databases section. Then click OK, select the databases. Now you'll be prompted to connect to Notion. Make sure you select the correct Notion account from the drop-down, then click Next. In this step, click on Select Pages to share your Notion workspace with Pop Invoice. Search for your Notion Invoice Manager template and select it. Click Allow Access to grant Pop Invoice permission to access your template. Follow the instructions on the page to first select the Invoices database, then the Clients database, and finally the Invoice Items database. You'll now be taken to the Settings page, where you can pick which properties Pop Invoice will use. Since I've designed this template to work with Pop Invoice, these properties should already be pre-selected for you. Now let's talk about how invoice numbering works in Pop Invoice. If you're using the free version of Pop Invoice, it automatically generates invoice numbers for you. The paid version, you can use your own invoice numbering system. With the free version, you do have some control over invoice numbering though. You can set a custom invoice prefix for each client and define the next invoice number. Let me show you how this works. Back in Notion, I've cleared the Invoices database, so I'm starting from an empty template. First, head to the Clients database and switch to the Invoice Number Setup view. Here, you'll see the properties that you need to configure for Pop Invoice. Start by adding an invoice prefix if you want to give each client a specific prefix. This will appear before their invoice numbers. If you leave it blank, Pop Invoice will use incremental numbers for each invoice. Next, set the next invoice number for each client. For example, if you've already sent 10 invoices to ABC Limited, you would set the next invoice number to 11. For other clients you haven't invoiced yet, you can set the next invoice number to 1, and Pop Invoice will start numbering from there. You'll only need to do this once for each client, and Pop Invoice will automatically keep the invoice numbers up to date from there on. Now let's create an invoice in Pop Invoice. I'll start by creating a new invoice for ABC Limited. This is the same items as before, a logo design and 5 training sessions. But this time I won't manually assign an invoice number. Pop Invoice will generate that for us. Once you've entered all the details, I'll mark the invoice as ready. Now let's hop over to Pop Invoice. Simply click on New Invoice and Pop Invoice will pick up all the ready invoices from the workspace and automatically generate the PDF. From here, you can choose to either download the PDF directly or email it to the client. If you choose to email, you can always download the PDF afterwards as well. You can also customize the look and contents of the PDF by going to the Invoice Templates section in Pop Invoice. For more detailed instructions, check out the Pop Invoice help page, but this quick overview should get you started. And that's it. You've now connected your Notion workspace and configured the Pop Invoice settings. From now on, you can easily create, send, and track your invoices. Whether you're managing a few invoices or a large client base, this integration keeps everything in sync and saves you time. Thanks for watching, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions or need help with the setup.